Paris. City of love, romance and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day, the day of the murder, I have always associated my beloved Paris with death. I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
Ah, the talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father? He never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat. My God, what? Monsieur Carchon! He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here. There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer. A bust of Pierre Cauchon, humble servant of La France. The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions. Pierre Cauchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room. A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job. The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him. Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now. Cauchon had been shot. I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down. The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune. I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful. Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole. Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming. A magnificent antique table. Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. It was a tube of acrylic paint, French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly, I preferred it that way.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Coulard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronise me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Yes, that's why I do this job.
You do it to see your name in print.
As if my editor gets the byline, I just do the work.
Well, don't expect my sympathy.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already, I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
You really do have a moral sense, don't you? I trust so few people. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this. The door was locked. Now we were getting somewhere. I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already. The painting showed the Cachons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie? The painting was attached firmly to the wall. There was the very faintest of clicks. Behind the picture was a safe. The safe was locked. I needed the key. In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read. I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Cachon was past caring.
This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression, though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why. As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Carchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank. The paint would have just soaked into the blotting paper, but the idea was good. Putting the paint straight on the cylinder would be too messy. The paint would go everywhere. I smeared the paint all over the cloth. When I do messy, I really like to put my heart into it. I hoped this was going to help. They don't make lace like that anymore. I wiped the paint-covered cloth over the surface of the stone cylinder. It took me right back to art class at school. And Maurice, my gorgeous art teacher. Such a shame they had to fire him. Ah well, concentrate, Nico, concentrate. Genius! The roller and the paint worked just as I planned, but what did it say? It was some kind of coded message. It read, sub judice. I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, sub judice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time. I didn't need to take the leather holder with me. The cloth would get paint on the tray, but not enough for what I needed. I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. In a way, I was going back to art school. I rolled the artifact in the paint until it was completely coated. No. 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 Locked. Not surprising, really. It didn't work, but I guess it would have been surprising if it had. There was no one I needed to phone, not until I had solved this case.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend, something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No, but I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask...
Don't worry. You were never here.
Sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie.
I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there. Canchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river.
He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
An old boyfriend of mine owned a barge once. Dampest relationship I ever had, in every way.
The fence wouldn't move.
It was the old boathouse for the conciergerie. If I was right about the meaning of subjudice, then the answer had to lie somewhere here on the quayside. This fence wouldn't move either.
The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. It was embroidered on the lace cloth I'd picked up at Canchon's apartment. I knew I was on the right track. I tried pushing the fence, but it wouldn't move.
A strange pair of locks stopped the latches from releasing the gate. One down, one to go. Nothing like a good convent education for honing your lockpicking skills. For a room full of junk, that was one very sophisticated lock system. This place was definitely fishy, in more ways than one. Oops. An old shell case. I wondered what that was doing there. The brass case was smooth and perfectly round. Moving the skiff would only damage it more. I'd wrecked the skiff. Not that it was particularly seaworthy anyway. The words sinister and Dexter were carved on either side. Now any good convent girl like me knows the old Roman for left, right, left, right. But what did it mean here? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The hole was too small even for my little hand. Mystery solved. Carchon's stone cylinder slotted into the hole with a satisfying click. I made a mistake. The lock reset. Rolling out the painted cylinder had given me a print of a secret message. It read, Sub Judice. Rolling out the painted cylinder had given me a print of a secret message. It read, Sub Judice. Below it was a sequence of letters, S, D, S, S, D, S, S. A sat. Another click. Rolling out the painted cylinder had given me a print of a secret message. It read, Sub Judice. Below it was a sequence of letters, S, D, S, S, D, S, S. I love the sound of locks clicking open. I really didn't want to pull the fence back up and risk trapping myself in this place. Oh my God! The slab came down with a hell of a force. With nothing to hold it up, the cross dropped back down again. Lifting the cross closed the entrance door and also opened some kind of stone panel. Ingenious. If I was going to get a closer look at the panel, I'd have to find a way of keeping the cross up. The stone cross was propped up. Now I was getting somewhere. I touched the slot. Nothing bad happened. which was good. I've always been attached to my fingers. This slot was designed for something specific. But what? A round slot precisely carved into the stonework. No way would I be able to force the door open. The cross was firmly propped up. I removed the shell case. The panel wouldn't move. I removed the stone cylinder. The artifact slotted into the hole perfectly. Behind the old walls, I could hear some kind of mechanism groaning into life, but whatever had been triggered had now jammed. I removed the shell case. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. The cross was firmly propped up. While Cachon's stone cylinder was in the hole, the door back out remained closed. I wasn't going to risk damaging the artifact. The gap was too thin for me to get a grip. I needed something thin enough to prise the door open. I was going to need something a lot stronger than a hair clip to free the door. I removed the shell case. The gap was too narrow. I needed something flatter to work into it. I was going to need something a lot stronger than a hair clip to free the door. The cross was firmly propped up. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. No way would I be able to force the door open. While Cachon's stone cylinder was in the hole, the door back out remained closed. Ut lex vel ut next sumito. To the law or unto death, submit. I guess these people didn't believe in liberté, égalité, or fraternité. Yes, I'll admit it. I was a swot at school. I also wore lipstick and the nuns never knew. Moving the skiff would only damage it more. I really didn't want to pull the fence back up and risk trapping myself in this place. I wasn't leaving yet. I had a hunch there was more to find. I wasn't leaving yet. I had a hunch there was more to find. This fence wouldn't move either. No. 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 I'd already unlocked the door. The slab was too heavy for me to lift. hidden door. This was getting interesting. Shame the mechanism jammed. I was going to have to find a way to prise it open. This wouldn't hold the cross up. But I was on the right track. I needed to use something sturdier. I removed the shell case. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. I wasn't going to risk damaging the artifact. The gap was too thin for me to get a grip. I needed something thin enough to prise the door open. A hidden door. This was getting interesting. Shame the mechanism jammed.